Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Have you just got back from the cinema?
No, I watched it at home.
Probably you paid to watch it at home.
No, it's in Peacock, which we don't have in this.
Yeah.
We don't have that in this country, but unaware.
What is it?
It's a streaming service.
Oh, okay.
It's on. It's on Peacock and in cinemas in America.
That's random. So it came straight to streaming.
Yeah, on Peacock here for 60
okay.
days.
It's random. Oh, fair enough. Well, that was easy for you.
Yeah, I was gonna go cinema tomorrow, but yeah.
Here we are today. I just skimmed through.
My bike's got a puncture. So I wasn't sure if I was gonna have a bike. Yeah, I wasn't sure it was gonna be ready for me to go cinema. It's a bit long walking. It's a bit long walking there, without if I'm not working.
Yeah, that's very long. I just skimmed through the second film, so I'm up to date. Although before we start, the bald guy who gets killed at the end, who is he? Is he one of the kids who survived? He's one of the babysitter's kids.
What the guy who's in the film for most of the film?
That's most of the second film, yeah.
Who's like leading the mob?
Yeah.
That's the kid who she babysits in the first film, like the original.
That Laurie's babysitting.
Yeah, the kid. Billy. No,
Billy.
What's his name?
Yeah.
No,
Billy,
is it
Billy? No.
Dewey? That's Scream.
I've not even seen Scream.
Is it Billy Hopkins? Wait, I want to find out now.
Hawkins is the policeman, which is funny because it just confuses me with Stranger Things.
Is that his name?
Nice. Officer Hawkins, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
The guy who has the
Tommy Doyle, that's his name.
Doyle. Tommy Doyle. Fair enough. Okay, should we review this incredible bit of cinema?
What?
So should we review this incredible bit of cinema?
Could do. Did we do the original? we did the original at some point.
We've done the original and the. I think we've done Halloween Kills before, you know.
No, we haven't.
I thought we'd done it as a cinema review.
No, I don't think so. No, if I didn't watch it in cinema, so I don't know.
Oh, moving on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we didn't. That's when. No, I don't think so. Wait, I'll check now. October 2021. Nah, we did Bond, did Dune in October last year. So no. When did we do? We did the original in.
Did you do the original and the new one? I don't know.
No, we just did the original with Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th 2 years ago.
Right, okay. Mad.
It's actually in October 2 years ago.
It's very funny. Even talking about it being 2 years ago is really funny.
Yeah. That was like just.
That was just.
Yeah, that was like just before the second lockdown. The like November lockdown.
Oh yeah, the one initially was like the week before my birthday actually. Was it a tiered system?
Yeah, and London wasn't in. Yeah,
London wasn't, but we was. And then a week before Christmas, the whole country went into it.
Yeah, despite everyone making plans for Christmas. It's actually very mad. That feels like ages ago, but not that long ago at the same time.
Even Eat Out to Help Out, I can't believe that was real.
Oh yeah.
There's so many things that are just insane.
That was like 4 chances ago.
You see that like Sky News article where it's like Kwasi becomes the second shortest chancellor. The first one died. It's so funny the way it's worded.
Divorce,
First one
beheaded,
That's why
died. Divorce, beheaded, survived. Head to head. Halloween 2018 versus Halloween Kills. Halloween. Laurie Strode confronts her longtime foe, Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago. So I think this is the first time I watched it since I saw it in cinema. It's because of COVID. We had to wait. That came out 2018. I think then they filmed the second one like pretty much straight away, so it would have come out like the year after, whatever. I had to wait 3 years for the sequel and then a further year for the third one. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's the first time I've seen it since I saw it in cinema. I remember liking it. Liked it again this time around. Mason, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is probably the third or fourth time I've seen it at home because it was on Netflix for a while. So I remember I feel like I make an effort kind of every Halloween to try and watch this one again. But it was weird. This was the first time watching Halloween 2018 and not enjoying it as much. When I used to always kind of compare it to the original and say that they'd done a good job of creating a modern version of that film, which I do think they have done still. But I feel like watching it this time, my opinion was a bit tainted after watching Kills and Ends. So maybe that's sort of playing a part on it, but I do have to kind of take that away. And if I pretend those films don't exist and I look at Halloween 2018 as a standalone, I do still really enjoy it. Like I said, there's a lot of positives about it. And again, this is like my fourth time watching it, and I will happily watch it again next year. But I think I'll watch the original first instead.
I think it's interesting. Like, if it was watching it this time, I was like, yeah, if they just left it at that, obviously they weren't because they were going to do a trilogy because it make money and whatever. But if they just like left it as that, it's like, oh, we come back for one last hurrah. As a standalone, it's actually very satisfying. I thought about thinking about how they could progress it in the sequels. Just the way like 3 generations of Strode women coming together, uniting after all her like Laurie's like years of trauma that's caused her to become estranged from her family and stuff, all that shit. Now having them eventually coming together, having like the kick-ass moment at the end where they burn him to the ground in the house, like the moment where they like trap him underground is like really cool, really satisfying moment. So if they just had that, it's like, oh yeah, he's dead now. We've come back. We've sorted it. Cheers. It would have functioned as like a really good standalone. But I still like. We'll go through the sequels over the course of the episode. But yeah, I'm still into the Halloween from 2018. All right, Halloween Kills, the sequel. Surviving victims of Michael Myers form a vigilante mob and vow to end his reign of terror after they discover that he is alive. This one didn't catch it in cinema. I'm not sure why. I just couldn't be asked. It kind of came and went. There's some big films last October, and yeah, it's kind of passed me by. So I did actually watch it until last night. Turned on the Now TV, got the Now TV player going, and watched Halloween Kills for the first time, and heard a lot of bad things. Kind of a lot of bad things about this, and a lot of bad things about Halloween Ends, which we'll talk about later as well. But I was kind of pleasantly surprised. Like, I don't think it's like amazing, but I had fun with it. I thought it kind of tonally is a bit more of a mess compared to the first one. Like it's a lot more funnier, which undercuts, or at least I found it to be quite funny than some of the characters, which undercuts any of the kind of serious scenes they were trying to go for, and this whole like deeper idea of like the town being traumatized as a whole and then wanting to like fight back. And was it evil dies tonight, all that stuff that was kind of undercut by how like kind of silly it is. But I did enjoy the silliness and that whole idea of like the town and all the people who've been affected kind of like rising up together rather than just sitting there and taking the shit from Michael Myers. I don't know. I had fun with it. I don't know. What do you think?
It is just funny. Like I said, I haven't actually seen this again since the cinema, and weirdly, I watched it in Manchester. I can't remember why, but yeah, I watched it in Manchester's film. I watched it with Jay, and I remember kind of I came out and I was like, for fuck's sake! I was just like, after enjoying Halloween 2018 and it has good ratings, I remember before I went and saw Halloween Kills, I saw that it bombed and it was sitting at like a 45 Metascore. And I thought, oh, it's annoying because this always happens. And to be honest, the one thing I'll give it is that it does stick true to the original trilogy, or however many there are in the original one. Because from memory, the first one obviously is like a great film, and then the second, third, fourth, and fifth just bomb. So it does the same. But like you said, there's something about this film where it's just a bit strange. Like you get the army of Gammons that for some reason just want to kill him, and it doesn't really go with what you when you're in the first when you're watching the first film, Halloween 2018. A lot of the younger kids just take the piss. Like when Laurie's granddaughter says, like, "Yeah, allow God, that was like my nan, like her mate's died like 40 years ago or whatever." They're like, "Oh yeah, whatever." Like they're like dickheads basically for no reason about it. And yet in the next film, which is like 2 days afterwards, the whole town is like, "Come on, let's go." And I skimmed through it earlier, and there's so many funny scenes when what's that guy Boyle, where his name is Billy
Doyle,
Boyle,
Tommy
no,
Doyle,
no. Oh,
Billy, Billy Boy,
Billy Doyle.
Billy Boy.
Billy Doyle, like I was skimming through, and I got to the bit when he's like, "I need any good men who are willing up for a fight, and then they'll show home now." And it's like, who's gonna follow this white bald guy into doing this? This is so funny. But you know what? I will give this film credit when, like you said, it is just funny, but also I actually think the murders in this film are better than the first one, like considerably better, because I think they're a bit more thought out, they're a bit more gruesome. Some of them are obviously ridiculous, but it is good. And like I said, I think the first half hour of the film is genuinely quite good.
I do like when sequels like pick up immediately after the first film. I don't know, something satisfying about how when they're filming it, how they have to like reconstruct what it looked like in the first film and everything like that. Just that, like similar to even like I don't know, like I think they do that in John Wick 3 after the second one. It just picks up from where we left off. Even in like Spider-Man, just like straight in from Peter's like the reveal of like him being exposed. Spoiler, as Peter Parker being exposed to Spider-Man, and then just like, oh, here we go, we're off. I don't know. I find that really satisfying, just like leaping off from where especially when you watch it back to back, like I did last night. Both the films, like, oh, it's like a second episode. So yeah. So Halloween Kills, interesting one. It's not great, but I had fun. So let's see how it fares in the categories. Performances. I haven't given the categories a lot of thought. Not gonna lie. So I haven't even what's in terms of performances. Like I thought. So Anthony Michael Hall, he's the one who plays Billy Boyle, and he is. See, I find him really interested as an actor because he was the kid in Breakfast Club, like the weakling in Breakfast Club. And it feels like in response to that, his career's been like, yeah, I'm just gonna bulk up. Like immediately after it, I'm gonna bulk up and be like a really hedge guy and be really aggressive. Starting with like Edward Scissorhands, where he's like the dickhead boyfriend in that. So yeah, I find him like that his like career arc from Breakfast Club interesting. And here he is again, yeah, being like you say, like just dogmatic and aggressive and trying to be commanding and really take it to Michael Myers. I don't think he's very good at it. Again, it was like funny, and I don't think it was meant to be. His performance wasn't meant to make me laugh as much as it did. I was meant to treat his struggle with a bit more respect. So yeah, he kind of dragged down Halloween Ends, and Halloween Kills, and I guess like Laurie Strode, she's not like Jamie Lee Curtis. She's not in this one as much, whereas Halloween is firmly her story, and she has to kind of convey her trauma and convey like everything that's happened. Because obviously it's one of them ones where it's a sequel to the original, like they kind of retcon everything that came before. It's like we're thinking about the 40 years that have gone past or whatever, and she's got to get that across, as well as being like a bit unhinged and militant in the way that she is. So yeah, you get less Jamie Lee Curtis in this film. You get more Anthony Michael Hall, more of Judy Greer, and I can't remember the actress who plays the daughter or the granddaughter. It's also weird. Why does she call her grandmother? I find that weird. No one says grandmother. You say like grandma or nan or whatever. Grandmother's a bit much. But yeah, performances. I haven't decided yet. What do you think?
Like I said, I think no one's given an opportunity to have a standout performance because most of the people in this town are just a bit of dickheads anyway, to be honest. Like they're not very nice people. So there's no one that actually has like an interesting story to where you can get invested except for Laurie Strode, just because, like you said, the whole entire film is about her trauma affecting her family and her relationship with everyone else, and how she's just become this secluded character who's, like you said, very militant and stuff. But I think it's Jamie Lee Curtis is the only character that actually has that depth. Whereas I guess in the first film as well, she does lean on her daughter to kind of show that response to the trauma and how that's affected her as well, and it kind of how it trickles down all the way to the granddaughter. So because that's explored in the first film, I think that's the only reason I'd probably give the performance to the original Halloween, because like you said, the second film is about the entire town dealing with trauma, and that's kind of where they get their performance from. But it's almost all entirely new characters who kind of take center stage, and you just don't care as much, because it kind of feels like a cop out when they're like, well, I'm the kid who survived that night. And it's like, but I don't know you. I don't care about what happened to you. You didn't even see anything really, I don't think. And then like the the old woman who was the nurse, she's there, or the kid they made up. That's the worst one. The kid they made up, when he's like, Michael Myers just looks at him and then walks over.
Is that made up? Was that not in the original?
That's not in the original one at all. No. That's just funny. But yeah, performance, because of the storyline, has to go to Halloween 2015.
I also like the dad. It's every time I say the first one, you feel we're talking about the first one, like the original, but no, I mean like the first one in the trilogy. So no, from now on, if I say the first one, that's what I mean. The first one, the dad, he's probably like the more of the comic relief. There's a little bit of humor in the first one. The second, Halloween Kills, it kind of leans more into that in tonally. But the dad, just kind of how corny he is, and it's in the first one, and a bit sarcastic and everything. Like when they have the dinner with her boyfriend, and he's talking about how he used to buy drugs off his dad back in the day, and all, like, just telling him stories and all that kind of stuff. Just a real like funny, corny dad. So yeah, I like what he brings to the table as well. But yeah, because Jamie Lee Curtis is positioned as the central character in that one, and she's the best actor really that they have to go, and also Judy Greer is good as well. So yeah, I have to agree with you. Lean towards that one. All right, performances get the first one to Halloween. Story. Yeah, this is definitely Halloween. This is kind of in I think this, for me, this is there's no question here. It's a far more focused story in the first one, following her trauma, following the return of Michael Myers, kind of using some of the beats of the original film, but to good effect. And yeah, it's just a far more compelling story. Where Halloween Ends is enjoyable for me and a lot of fun, but it's really messy, and like I said, introducing all these new characters, it just gets a bit chaotic in a way. Although, like I said, I do like the idea of just following on from the first film directly into the sequel. I like how they kind of add little elements to what happened that night in the second film. That's some parts of the story I do like. But yeah, it's got to go to Halloween 2018. What about you?
Yeah, it's more of what I've just said already, really, where what I loved about Halloween 2015 was how similar it was to the original, in the fact that it's kind of like her friend is babysitting, and the deaths are really similar. The way that he stabs her boyfriend like into the wall, leaves him there. There's just a lot that does, like they said, lean on the original, and it's almost a copy of the story. But then, like you said, you have the element of Laurie Strode and her whole family, and it leads to an interesting film. Where, especially if you're a fan of the original, it makes it quite. It's just interesting. Yeah, there's not much else to say, and there's no competition between Halloween Kills, because the series just takes a very random turn. Whereas I would have just enjoyed another hour and a half of Michael just hunting down more people in the town and killing them, and trying to kill the three girls again. And then in the last film, we kind of had this big final scene or something. But what they chose to do doesn't suit the Halloween 2018. So yeah, there's no discussion really. It's definitely the original Halloween. No, first Halloween. Oh, it's so annoying.
It's to call it something different. It's annoying. It's like Scream. Like just call it Scream, the fifth Scream. It's annoying. Just have another title. Yeah, it's no contest really. Also, like the bit kind of like they explore this more like as we go through this trilogy, but they kind of put the first seed of like they'd have kind of being like infected by Michael's evil, like the when with the I guess his doctor or his therapist or whatever that guy who ends up killing or trying to kill um the was his name Hawkins, Will Patton's police officer, yeah, try to stabbing him in the neck so he can't execute Michael. There's that whole bit of how like evil corrupts him. That kind of thread to the story is also a good part of that first film. That ultimately is what gets Michael towards Laurie Strode's house for the big finale. All right, so that's 2-0 to Halloween 2018. Visual style. Again, I'm probably leaning towards Halloween. That's because I was thinking of some cool moments with the camera in the first one. So like there's one they kind of repeat some of the stuff they do in the original in terms of some of the tracking shots and then like following him around the house. But then there's one like where like it follows him as he goes in, like looks through the window of one woman's house, and then the camera remains there, and then he walks around, and then he appears behind the woman and takes her out. Like she's on the phone talking to a friend about, oh, Michael Myers is out. Let's make sure you stay indoors, protect yourself, and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, the way the camera follows him and then stops, and then you just see him come through the back door into the living room to take her out. There's a few moments like that I thought were some cool pieces of direction. Whereas Halloween Kills, there's not really anything that stood out to me from a visual perspective. In fact, there were more things that kind of annoyed me, like particularly kind of like the staging of the when they've got him when they're around surrounding him and just trying to like smacking him with a bat and punching him or whatever. That and that the slow-mo effects and everything about the way that's filmed, I just felt to be just really bad. Just really, but that was where I was like, okay, this is this is where I can understand why people kind of resent this film. See, that there was more moments like that in Halloween Kills than there was in the first one. And we've just lost Mason. Don't know what just happened. Let's see if he rejoins. But oh, I think he's back. But yeah, I'm giving my point to the first Halloween. He's back. Is he back? Now he's back. Maybe. Hello? Can't hear you.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can, yeah.
What?
What the hell?
Oh. Sorry. You can hear me, can't you?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, I put myself on mute, sorry.
Nah, it's your go. I give Halloween the point visual style. What are you saying?
The only things I can think of in Halloween Kills that are kind of interesting is when he's what scene is it? When he's killing all the firefighters. That scene is when they do a point of view of the firefighters. That's the only thing that's kind of interesting in that film. When he walks out of the house and you go into the point of view of the firefighter who then gets smashed straight through the eyes, and then you drop to the floor and you also return to that one more time when other people are getting killed. You see it from that perspective. That's the only thing that I find kind of interesting because it kind of reminds me of the first film. But again, it's just not as good because in the first film, I'm talking about the original film now. In the original film, when you go into the point of view of Mike Myers, I think that's really cool. And I think we've discussed this on the podcast before, that it's just really interesting that you are the killer in a way as you're watching the film. Like I think in the original, he drives in the car, or even when he kills his sister at the beginning, you see all that. That's really interesting. But that's the thing I like about Halloween Kills is that you see it from the opposite perspective instead. Other than that, I can't think of anything else really visually that's great. There's a couple shots. I think when the woman who gets the glass light stabbed through her neck, I quite like that shot when you see Michael drag the body in, and then you go again into her point of view as she sort of turns, and Michael's just stabbing knives into her husband. That's quite a nice shot because the camera does turn slightly to the left, so you can see because you hear him put a knife in, and then you carry on going left, and you see how many knives are left, and you can see the continuing stabbing. But I'm trying to get no Halloween Kills. I think Halloween Kills has a better visual style.
Fair. What we do when there's only two people in the head-to-head, it just gets a point for each one. So that would mean it would be 3-1 to Halloween as we move into tone. And once again, it's just a bit messy in Halloween Kills. That's the trouble. Like it's still like enjoyable and a lot of fun to be had, but it's trying to get across multiple characters, new story threads. It just doesn't all quite fit together as cohesively as you'd want it to be, which is probably why I wasn't as well received as the first one, which is a lot like the structure of the story. Again, I guess it's kind of a cheat, like we talk about, like because it's just borrowing more from the original film in terms of its structure, makes it easier to kind of establish that tone, that atmosphere. Whereas Halloween Kills is trying to do something different. So we'll get to more about what they try to do in Halloween Ends, which I also found to be interesting. But Halloween Kills is trying to do something a bit different, which makes it harder. But I don't think it gets points for that, but it doesn't get all the points because it didn't quite accomplish what it was trying to do. I don't think in terms of the tone, it's a bit unfocused. So I'm going for Halloween 2018 for just a straight down the line slasher film. Good character exploration, good themes, good action. Yeah. What do you think? Tone?
I think I can appreciate the tone a bit more of Halloween Kills now that Halloween Ends is out, because in a way these three films genuinely feel like standalone films now, because the story that they try and create and even the tone they take is so different between all three. Like you actually just can't relate them, because in the first film it feels solely about Laurie and her family. Second film is the entire town. Third film, we then home in again on just Laurie's granddaughter and whatever that other kid's name is. And it's so strange. Just to be honest, the tone of the whole trilogy is just so strange. But like you said, because it leans on the original, it's pretty clear. 2018 just feels like you said already, just a solid film. I think it's just really smart what they do. I think it's smart to copy from the original. If you're copying a film from 40 years ago, which was proven to be good, and you modernize it enough to where you also appeal to now what a modern audience wants from a slasher film, then it's successful, and that's what it does. Because if Halloween came out today, the original, it would probably flop a bit because it's not the same as what we now expect from a slasher film. Whereas Halloween 2018 achieves that. It gets the perfect blend of paying homage to what we've had before, but also creating, just a general good slasher film. So 2018 for time.
Which means it goes 4-1 up. It's got the win locked down. Final category, the unique one. I was trying to think of something like every week. I was just like, what's the best Michael Myers out of these two films? Could mean what kills he delivers most impressively, or just his presence in the town. Anything's the way he rises when it looks like he's defeated, when it looks like he's been vanquished, and he emerges somehow inexplicably, proving his immortality. But what's the best version of Michael Myers out of these two films, do you think?
I'd say Kills. I actually think Kills. He's a better Mike Myers. I quite like the mask, because the mask isn't the same in Halloween 2018. It looks just a bit different. Like it's not as pale as the original one. Whereas in Halloween Kills, he's got all this burn on him. I kind of like that very clear reference that he has been burnt in the first film, and that's now with him for the duration of the trilogy. But I found his kills just to be a bit more grim this time around in Halloween Kills. And this is what I didn't get really in Halloween 2018, which put me off Mike Myers, is that he didn't seem like Mike Myers to me because he was killing too many people. Whereas in the original, he only kills like 3 people, and it feels quite calculated who he kills because he stalks the girls at first and then kills them. Whereas now in Halloween 2018, he just goes on a killing spree just for no reason. He just kills so many people that the murders don't really feel as shocking or as insane because like you said, he walks into that woman's house and just stabs her and leaves her at the window. Like it's just quite wild. Whereas in Halloween Kills, I've accepted that he's changed. This is who he is. This is the Mike Myers of the 21st century. But it's good. I just like it. I like the kills. Like I said, I like when he smashes that glass and sticks it into that woman's neck. I think that's pretty mad. I find it quite funny when he kills is it Big John and Little John?
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, I forgot. That's okay. That's actually I love those 2 characters in that whole they
are really good
plot.
Actually.
Yeah, okay, that's sick. Okay, yeah, forgot about that.
The whole idea of them 2 buying this haunted house and the way they decorate the house is such good attention to detail because it's that idea. It's almost like gentrification where they're buying this like rundown house, making it really fancy, but they're doing it just because it's a bit like, oh. And then when he's like, oh, Michael, you've come home, even though you can see his husband dead on the floor, it's just so funny. But they're like, what's so fun, really funny about that? I don't know if you remember, everyone started calling Michael Myers homophobic because he killed both of them. Like on Twitter, like last year, there was like a trend. They were saying Mike Myers was homophobic. But the kills they're better. And I just find Mike Myers kind of funnier in this film. Like when he kills Laurie's granddaughter's boyfriend's dad. Oh, which is that's Hawkins, isn't it? Sorry.
No,
yeah, I don't know a roundabout way of saying. Is it not?
That's what's he called? I can't remember what their family name is. But he was in the bar. He was in the bar at the start of the film, and yeah.
Oh, he's the kid that got bullied and stuff. I don't know, whoever he is, whatever he is. I just find it really funny that Mike Myers took the time to put him in the loft and just ram him in the loft. Like some stuff is just so ridiculous. But I like the kills. I like the kills. So yeah, I think Halloween Kills does definitely win that one.
Yeah, you've kind of convinced me. When he's a bit more in more of a playful mood, just being a bit of a rascal whilst being a demented serial killer. That's kind of the vibe I'm looking for. What was it? Someone posted a screenshot. It must be from, I think it's in the original. Like he puts on like a bed sheet like with a ghost. Yeah, that's in the original. Yeah, it's just like why someone on Twitter is like, why did he do this? And then someone quote tweeted just like, yeah, he's just a silly boy. Just a bit of a silly boy, Michael Myers. Like,
yeah. They show that again in 2018, don't they? They do it again where he kills someone upstairs and lays them on the chair and puts the cape over them again.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just funny. Like he doesn't need to do that. He's just. I think that's when he has like a. I sound like I know him personally, but I feel like he has this sort of playful, childish side to him, which is just funny when he does stuff like that because it's like you said, he's a serial killer, and the way he kills is so gruesome, but he has a little bit of fun. I like that. Or I like it when that woman goes to shoot him in the second one, and he kicks the cotton door, and she shoots herself. That is insane. That scene is so insane. Or when he kills again the woman, that's a little homage as well in the second film to the original. Is the nurse that he almost kills in the original film. He like scurries on the top of the car, which always looks so funny.
Yeah.
Because it looks like Hereditary when the mum scales up the wall. He scurries the car in the exact same way, and he does it again in this film. And it's so funny that that's the way she dies. But yeah, I'm glad I've convinced you.
Big John and Little John, that's so funny to me as well. I can't believe I forgot about them. I found that just the fact that they're just a couple and they call themselves Big John, Little John was just funny enough before they even started speaking. It's just, this is such a funny idea. Like the whole, like the kids pranking them with their like pretending that the kid got that bit or swallowed a razor or whatever. I think that's how we're first introduced to them, and then them reversing the prank on them, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they're really funny. Also, yeah, the like black couple at the start. They were like they were really bad actors, but they were kind of funny as well. Like the doctor and the nurse, and the way like how high pitched his voice was, and the mistaking that guy for Michael Myers, like when he got in his car and crashed it. That was bad. That the bit when the guy that they think is Michael Myers, like the other guy who escaped the truck, when he the whole build up to him killing himself. Like the mob chasing after him, I thought that was the way that was staged. I don't know. That's a bit poor. I was like, what's going on? Like, because he didn't really have much of a introduction. If it's just like, oh, we think that's Michael. Let's go get him. Yeah, I don't rate that.
This guy's very clearly not Michael.
Yeah, he looks like the body shape's like completely different.
He's so frail and scared, which Michael isn't, and he's like hunchback, everything. And then that's what I mean. The people of this town kind of deserve it. Like they were aggressive, trying to kill. They wanted to kill this guy. All these people, smashing windows, trying to get him, and then the guy just jumps, and then they're like, oh. And when he lands on the floor, I just let him have it. Let Michael have him.
Yeah, I guess that does link to the idea of like the people being infected. It's like lust for murder, but yeah, it's still not doesn't make it any greater a scene. All right, so that's where were we? We're doing the unique category. So the unique still goes to Halloween Kills. So that would be 4-2 final score, respectable. Kind of, it's hard to compare a first film and a middle film and a trilogy. It's always at a disadvantage. But yeah, I had fun with Halloween Kills. Let's see what Halloween Ends has to offer.
It's been 4 years since Michael Myers vanished without a trace.
Hello.
I was certain that I saw him watching me.
You pretend like you moved on, but you're actually just obsessed with death.
What are you gonna do when Michael comes back for you? Because he is coming.
But this time, something feels different. He's more dangerous. He killed my daughter. But tonight, I will kill him. Come and get me. Maybe the only way he can die is if I die too. It all ends now. You came here to kill me, so do it.
Halloween Ends. The saga of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode comes to a spine-chilling climax in this final installment of this trilogy. What was it, spine-chilling? Mason, first impressions of Halloween Ends.
Well, I watched this on Saturday, so I've only had 2 days to try and digest it. And it was weird because I went into Halloween Ends not watching the trailer to it, whereas I think when I watched Kills, I had seen a trailer. But after watching Kills and knowing it wasn't a very good film, I just didn't care enough to. I didn't care enough to research this film or learn anything about it before watching it. I kind of just went in blind. And maybe I should have watched the trailer because this film was so out there. This was completely different to the 2 films that we'd had before. And I'd like to know when they recorded this film when they filmed this film, because it's not a podcast. I'd like to know when they shot this film. So free from words now, because it seems like I'd like to think to me that after the feedback from the second film, they've gone in a completely different direction with the third film, because it doesn't fit with what we've built up to in the 2018 film and Halloween Kills, because as it should stand is that you've got the whole city mobbing together to hunt down Mike Myers. It's failed. It should be like round 2 basically, and Halloween Ends with Laurie Strode now back in full health and like, ready to fight, and she's angry because her daughter's dead. And we didn't speak about her daughter dying actually.
That was
But
good.
yeah,
I like the way that was filmed when she died.
that's a
Cross
really nice
cutting.
shot, actually.
Yeah.
Do you know there's a deleted scene where she rings her daughter and Mike Myers just picks up the phone and breathes down it? I think that's really cool.
Oh,
But they cut it
yeah.
out. But yeah, um, this film is just very strange. It doesn't feel like the end of a trilogy at all. Whereas this film almost feels like a spin-off, or at best, I think this should have been the second film, not the third film. It gives me more second film vibes completely. Whereas, yeah, it's just strange. I'd love to know what you think because you've just watched it.
Yeah, I finished it less than an hour ago. Obviously, yeah, similar to Halloween Kills, but maybe even worse. Like the feedback has been pretty bad. It's like a 5.1 on IMDb right now. Anyone who I've encountered who's seen it is like, oh, it's terrible. Don't bother. But yeah, I thought it was actually good. Like, I don't know, the direction they've taken with it, I found to be very interesting. Kind of like touched on it a bit in the head-to-head, just like the idea of the evil, like infected people in this town and stuff. And to take that and run with it in the way that they do, in terms of like a guy literally like embodying Michael Myers, and the way just from the outset of this film, like the way it opens, when you're subverting your expectations by doing a sequence where you expect at some point Michael Myers is going to enter this house and murder the babysitter, try to murder the kid. That's just like, yeah, part of the course. Good way to open your movie, and a nice entertaining way to do it, and then we'll see what happens from here on out. But to do what they do was just so like violently shocking, to have him just be trapped and then try to open the door pretty like innocuously, and that resulting in the kid flying off the banister and falling to his death as his parents come through the door. It was just fucking insane. From that point, I was like, okay, this is taking a different direction. Now, one thing that I had heard was like, people were complaining that Michael Myers isn't in the film that much, which proved to be true. And I was like, okay, so what does that mean? Like, what are they trying to set up? It's like, okay, this is the end of the Michael Myers, so they're trying to like set up something else for the future of the Halloween franchise. So I had like that idea going in. It's like, okay, they're going to try to do something different here, maybe without Michael. And what they did do was just, I found it to be interesting. The drawback is I don't think the actor's very good who plays whatever his name is. And if he was like a more compelling actor, maybe even like a bigger name, then that might have helped it a bit. Definitely for me, because I still enjoyed it, but that would have improved it a lot more to have someone more compelling in that role. But just the way he falls down, this like the way he spirals towards evil and everything like that. I found it to just be wild, and I don't know. I enjoyed the ride. I don't know. Did any of that like come across to you? Just like, yeah, it's a bit insane. Maybe it doesn't fit where we were headed in this trilogy, but it's kind of a bit of fun that they've taken this direction.
It just really misses the mark. Like, I appreciate them doing something different because 2 was just strange. Like, it just didn't work at all, really, the storyline wise. So I can appreciate this 5-year skip forward, and I guess that does make sense with filming because I guess now we're at current time. Whereas obviously when they've released Kills, it's the day. It's like it would have only been a year after typically, but it's 3 years later. So yeah, I don't. I just don't know. Like you said, Corey's just not a very good actor, but I do really enjoy this idea of, in a way, like Michael Myers' kid, like, is that kind of dating Laurie's granddaughter. I really enjoyed that and them together. But it's just a shame that Laurie's granddaughter is really fucking annoying, and it's a shame that Corey isn't a good actor because the concept I thought was sick, and that was the annoying thing about it, is that they've actually thought of something that I never thought they would have done with the Halloween franchise, and I was quite invested in that. I was like, this is actually a sick idea, and I think it's especially when he kills the nurse who gets the promotion over Allison and the main doctor. That bit is really good, and I think you look at him as being really evil then, and I really like the tag team of him and Michael. And especially like it's just little things like the height difference. Like, he does just look like Mike Myers' kid. And I can appreciate when he has his own individual mask at first as well. All of it was just working quite well for me, parts of it. And then it just crumbles basically. Like again, I talk about how much I enjoyed that scene and that part of the film, but that's only temporary because before that the build up wasn't very good, and after that it was worse. So concept great, execution awful.
You get the like cliched like Stephen King kind of bullies in this one, the ones who are the kids who are tormenting Corey about what happened and how he got away with it and everything like that. And that kind of like there's like the catalyst kind of for like, I guess it's not even just them. They're just kind of like the most visible example of it. But like obviously the people in the town resent him, judge him. So like and it's kind of like this him emerging as like a Michael Myers protege kind of comes out of that of him being shunned in this town, not really feeling comfortable in this place anymore, can't have any normal relationships because everyone just thinks of him as this monster who killed a child, even if it was an accident, as the viewer would know. So yeah, but like the cliched bullies, they were kind of annoying, and that's kind of like you always get that in these kind of films. Like, okay, we need something to really trigger him. Like these kids who just have to keep following him, have to keep following him around, when you wouldn't really get that in real life. I don't know. These like 18-year-old, I think they say they're senior in high school. So I think that means they're like 18, and they're just like stalking this 21-year-old, trying to. They even know what they want from it. They're just tormenting him for no particular reason, and even. But I guess that does feed into like the idea of people all having this like lust for murder. Like even when the kid throws him over the bridge and thinks he suspects that he might be dead, he's like, oh yeah, forget about it. I didn't see nothing. He fell. Like he still doesn't. There's no like. They're all kind of monstrous in their own way. There's no guilt there. So yeah, but I don't know. I still found it to be interesting, and like how that Corey being resented kind of connects with Laurie Strode's granddaughter feeling kind of ostracized because of the trauma that she's gone through and being kind of being the granddaughter of a freak and everything like that. The way they connect. I don't know, did that relationship have any? I guess you didn't like either of the actors, but did that relationship have any meaning to you? Did them coming together or anything? Did that work on any level for you?
No, like I said, the concept was there, but the relationship, no. Like Alison is just. I understand. Like I was deep in it today. She loses the most out of any single person in this whole franchise because her mum gets murdered, her dad gets murdered, her boyfriend gets murdered. Who else? Her nan's just fucked, basically. All of her friends got murdered as well, actually. Like, yeah, she's fucked, isn't it? Like, it is a bit shit, of course. But she is just. I don't understand her storyline with this boy either because she seems to fall madly in love with him within seconds. And I don't understand why, because he's kind of a dick to her at most times. And everything that should be a red flag to her in this film isn't. Like, so say the scene when we're in the diner and he stands up to the guy who I think is a policeman and pulled over Alison, and he stands up and is like really aggressive. She's not like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" She's just like, "It's okay, Corey. Like it's fine." And then she's like, "Yeah, fuck it. Let's burn the place down. Let's leave." And I'm like, "What?" Like, it really doesn't suit her character's story to do that. And they only try and give us that idea that she's like that when she's not getting a promotion at work and she's getting treated shit at work. And it's because they've thought of this good idea in the last film. It's too late. So they're trying to introduce all these stories and everything too late, and it just doesn't work. And that's why, for me, their relationship doesn't work at all because there's no chemistry between them. She'd have to go full evil for it to kind of work for me, where she doesn't. She still tries to be kind of good, and he's just fucked. So it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
To that point, it kind of did. Yeah, it did annoy me. The point where I was like, I kind of checked out like a little bit was when Corey turns up at Laurie's house, ready to commit another murder, and then kills himself. Like says, like, if I can't have her, no one can, and slits his throat to try suggest that it was Laurie who did it. That's just as Alison walks through the door. But the way Alison reacts to that and the way that whole scene plays out is like, why doesn't Laurie try to like explain like just a little bit of what's just happened? Because obviously Alison should have plenty of suspicions, like you say, at this point. So why not try to just explain briefly? It's, no, he killed himself. Like, what do you mean? And then from that moment where Alison just decides, okay, I'm done with her. Clearly, she's just murdered him. But then she comes back in the end to kill Michael to protect her. The way that all develops and progresses, like that was a bit hokey. That was the most like, I'll roll my eyes. Like I wasn't the prior to that, the flaws in the film were offset by how much fun I found the central idea to be. But in that sequence in particular, and the character choices there, that was just kind of annoying.
Michael's mask is on the floor in the moment when she walks in and sees him stabbed. That should be enough to give it away. But all Alison does is she screams the exact same way in all three of the films. I've noticed it because I've watched them recently. She just like really longs out the screams, goes like,
You're not gonna lie, this whole trilogy, the scream acting is quite bad across the board.
Yeah.
Even the blonde girl.
That's why.
The babysitter. She was the one who her Freddie babysits the little black kid. That little black kid's funny as well. It's like cut my nasty ass toenails, all that stuff. But like when she gets mad, she does a scream as well. Where I'm so unconvinced by your scream acting. Even Jamie Lee Curtis, there's a bit dodgy scream acting going on her. But yeah, Alison's the main offender.
Alison's is so fucking annoying. Like that black kid's in the third one as well, though, isn't he? Which is funny.
Yeah, like when they're walking,
killing Michael.
Yeah, like the procession. Yeah, he's in the crowd. I did like that idea. The procession. It's like even the law enforcement. They're kind of like they're like, oh, this isn't legal or like justifiable in any way. Like it kind of like the wider United States found out about what they're doing here with this criminal or this person who's this dead body, they'd be like, what we doing, guys? Kind of not really following the rules. But it's like, oh, this is such a unique circumstance. Michael has inflicted so much trauma on this town and have damaged so many lives. It's like, yeah, fuck it, no. We need to all be there to witness his body be completely disemboweled. And what do they put him in? Like, I don't know what machine that is, but like, yeah,
just a crusher, isn't it? I guess that's what it's called.
Is it for? What is it for? Like,
it's for cars, isn't it? I think you put like
yeah, just completely scramble him. The way his brain gets scrambled, and it kind of like pops. That was kind of satisfying. But I guess did Michael's death work for you in any kind of way? Was there any like catharsis, like, and any kind of like I was saying, like in the synopsis, it talks about being like a spine chilling climax. I guess that's like the big moment. It's like, yeah, he fight. I don't know. I've never seen any of the other sequels in between the original and the remade trilogy. So I have no idea what goes down, like whether Michael dies or anything in any of those. I have no idea what the plots are to any of those other films. But I don't know, was Michael's death impactful in any way in the way that whole scene plays out?
Well, all I know from the previous sequels is that Michael actually kills Laurie in one of them. So eventually he kills her. So I guess it's kind of full circle, but it's the other way around this time. I think I do enjoy his death. I like that it feels very final, and that's what it's quite nice, because normally, even though they admit it's going to be a trilogy, the way it ends it leaves it open just enough. Whereas his body has been crushed now. If they try to bring him back, it just makes no sense. Like it would just piss people off basically. And I think it's quite mad that they've done this, because although these films aren't the best, they're probably earning enough money to make it profitable to keep creating them. So to destroy his body is a bit mad, and I can appreciate that. But I think they've left the door open with Corey, because you didn't really, Corey got stabbed, but he also had that moment where he kind of got up after kind of thinking he's dead. So you'd like to think they'll probably go with him later on.
I did really like the moment when like Laurie kind of, it's like she just summons some kind of like superhuman strength in one moment and overpowers Michael completely. Like when she forces him onto the table and like holds him down. It's like just out of nowhere, it's like everything, it's like manifesting all like the turmoil and strife that she's gone through over 40 years, and it's just like, bang, no, fucking get down. this is the night you actually die. I'm finally gonna get my revenge. So that kind of brought me back in amongst that whole bit with the bullshit going on with Allison and everything, how that played out. That kind of annoyed me. I was locked firmly back in when she threw Michael onto the kitchen counter, and then some more shit goes down from there. But yeah, that was a satisfying moment for me.
It's really funny you say that, because I didn't think of her kind of being the overpowering Michael figure in that situation, but I picked up on it's a really funny scene when, just before all of that happens, Michael's in the hallway and she walks across the shot, like in between the doorway, like Michael. It's really funny. She walks in a dead straight line, doesn't acknowledge Michael, she walks straight in a straight line into the darkness. And that to me was just really funny. And then that does make sense, because that aligns with her just overpowering him. And she uses like the saucepan, doesn't she, to like knock the knife like into his hand. I like that. But then I also like that. Then that bit is all kind of paced really well, because you think she's got him, and then it's sick when Michael rips his hand through the knife, and then gets her again, and then that's obviously when her granddaughter comes back or whatever. But no, that bit is really good. And I think just as a whole, when the series has done it a few times now, where they've made her almost like Mike Myers, which I quite like. So when you watch 2015 again, I keep saying 2015, when you watch 2018 again, it's really funny when Mike Myers throws her out the window of her house. She's laying on the floor dead, and then you go to his point of view again, and he looks out the window, and her body's gone. She's not there. And just before that scene, she's in a dark space, which is like the original. And then in the original, Mike Myers' face lights up in a dark room, whereas hers does it in 2018. It just does little things like that. Or even in this one, actually, I quite like the callback to when she had knitting needles, didn't she? In this end scene, to try and get Michael at first, which I quite liked, because that's in the original. I think that's what she stabbed him in the eyes with, maybe.
Was it just in the side of his head, I think?
Oh yeah, it was something like that, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, they do really well at just nodding towards the original. And it's crazy that there's so many nods you can make towards just 1 hour and a half film, but stuff that seems to really stick out on the audience. Like I said, there's no reason to remember the knit and needles or other parts, but yeah, they do well. But yeah,
it's funny you bring up that scene, like in the original, with where like his head appears from the and the darkness. That was like another thing that's been going around on Twitter, like comparing that to the one in the newer film. Like that's when like that same kind of shot, and it's how much inferior the lighting is. Because that's like a whole thing about like movies just aren't lit in as interesting and like innovative ways nowadays, because it's just all like digitally shot and everything. Whereas back then, like they used to do more interesting things with the lighting. So that scene in the original is so mad, the way they're able to, the contrasts across the frame and everything like that is really cool. Whereas here it's just not as expertly done. Which like I didn't really think about that kind of stuff until you put two screenshots next to each other and you kind of see what the greater achievement is. But yeah, as I'm watching, I'm not really thinking about that stuff. But yeah, seeing it side by side is a little disheartening to the way some modern movies are made. But yeah, that's by the by, still good stuff. Yeah, any more thoughts on Halloween Ends? So you say if you don't want to see any more Halloween films, I think, because they're going to do something again at some point. Maybe if it takes like 5 to 10 years, they're going to do. They're not, the way the world works, there's no way they're just going to leave it at this. They're going to do something. They're going to reboot the franchise in some way. So would you still be up for that or no?
Yeah, of course. Of course, yeah. I've slated 2 out of 3 of the films, but of course, like I like Mike Myers as a killer, and at the end of the day, I what helped me make my mind up on that kind of question was that earlier I'd literally skimmed through Halloween Kills. I didn't watch it at all, just to remember the storyline. But what I noticed myself pausing at and actually watching the whole 10-minute piece was the murder scenes, because they're just fun, they're interesting, and Mike Myers as a killer is cool. Like, I just like him as a killer. Like you said, I like that he's a bit of a rascal. I like that he does funny things, and I like his murders. They're good. And then I like there's certain things I like about him, like I've said about the original. I like that he walks, he doesn't run. There's just certain characteristics about Michael that I enjoy. So yeah, they could easily make another one. I'd happily come back, but I'd watch it even if it was Corey, but I wouldn't enjoy it. And that's what I found such a waste in this film, because they could have fully made a spin-off, because Corey had his own mask, didn't he, for just like one or two of the murders. And if you stick with that, like it's not hard. There you go. You've got your moment. You've got your spin-off. But maybe they know that the mask is the biggest pull to these films. So, yeah.
When he first puts on that mask is when he's going to the costume party, and that's when he kind of feels like liberated for the first time. He's on a date with Alison, and he's like feeling himself like what does he do when he's dancing? He like lays on the floor. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. She's like putting hands like in his face as he's like laying on. Like, what are you doing? Why are you like laying on the dance floor? But
I thought they was on drugs, I thought he was having an epileptic fit. I actually thought it was one or two of them.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he was having a heart attack.
Yeah, and then he gets up and they didn't mention it, and I was like, okay, that's so random.
He's like feeling himself so hard.
That's like a 40-year-old director who's like, yeah, I bet this is what kids do nowadays.
But yeah, that scene, and he's like, yeah, he's having the time of his life. Like, oh yeah, cool. He's like, for the first time in probably since the incident, he's actually at peace with himself, having a good time, feeling like he can move on to an extent. Then the mum's just there at the bar, right there, conveniently to completely crush his vibe. Like, why was the mum there though? I'm not being funny. Like, I feel like if you're, I don't know, maybe she's an alcoholic, but I feel like you'd go to like a quieter bar on you wouldn't go to like a venue where like people are dancing and music's popping off. Like you go somewhere where you could just chill and wallow in your own grief and depression. Like, I don't know why she's like chilling at this dance bar. Like, yeah,
it's the anniversary of her kid's death as well. Okay, grip. Yeah.
Is it that she split up with the dad? Do they not say? I don't think they say.
They don't say it, but I guess it's assumed because she looks a bit rough. He doesn't obviously look as well anymore. The house has been sold. Well, the house is like left empty. I think it's just suggested that, yeah, she looks rough.
Yeah. Look, I reckon the biggest improvement they could have just made to enhance this trilogy was just have better actors in some of these other parts. Like if Alison was better, if Corey was better in this film, that could have just like elevated it. Just in that move in and of itself, that could have elevated it beyond any story issues, anything like that. But overall, I still, watching the 3 films over the last 2 days, it's still an enjoyable experience. I'm glad to have got these films. They're solid enough, and Ends in particular was just a wild direction to take the story, and I appreciate that, even if it wasn't fully on a craft level, it wasn't fully up to scratch. But yeah, still good stuff. All right, that's Halloween Ends. That's the Halloween trilogy wrapped up. At Corona Cinema on Instagram, at LiamWait98 on Twitter, Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, Stitcher, Podbean. Next episode is Bros rom-com coming out in a couple of weeks. I know that's a rom-com, but I thought because it's called Bros, might as well do the sibling rivalry week that even though they're not brothers, they're bros as in friends and they're in a relationship. But yeah, still thought we'd do sibling rivalry as the head-to-head. Because I've been trying to get that week in for quite a while now. So it's this whatever happened to Baby J in the 62 version, not the TV movie that I accidentally watched a couple of years ago, trying to watch the 62 version. Then about 20 minutes in, I realized it's a TV movie, and I was like, okay, I'm going to turn this off. So yeah, finally going to watch the actual proper version of that film versus East of Eden. That's the head-to-head. Bros is the main review. Until then, go up.
Cheers.